Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Be the Media Huntington. My name is Jenny Lee. Tonight is Tuesday, April 10th, and I'm here with Miss Dana.
Hi, guys.
And Miss Lisa.
My name is Jenny Lee.
See,
Tonight
I
is
told
Tuesday,
you
April
something
10th,
was going to happen.
and I'm here with
And
Miss
here we
Dana
go.
Hi, guys.
and Miss Lisa. My name is
Goodbye. Goodbye. So we might as well just get it out in the open and tell everyone how we were just talking about. We had so many clips for everyone tonight, and we were going to have a lot of screen problems because
There's one.
find the videos, and there's our first one of the night. We anticipate more, so hold on to your hats and your seats because here we go. Okay, the first one up for tap. What are we going to talk about tonight, ladies? Where did we go?
So many things.
The Mega Mall.
Oh, don't call it a mega mall because it's
Mega
false.
Mall.
You don't know that's not accurate. Don't call it that.
That's fake news, according to some of the civic groups who are going to be bringing you meetings, right? They're going to have the developer there, and they're going to tell you why what you've been hearing on social media is fake news, or somehow you're just overinflating things, but they're going to go ahead and address it, which is really weird because the stance of the civics used to be the opposite, where they would protect the neighborhoods and they would have the meetings and they would bring the information to the people. But it seems like they're for the project, so they're really there is a mechanism to get people to support it.
Until I make my water taste pristine and delicious, I'll call it whatever I want.
Oh. Well, now, tell them how you really feel.
Yummy.
The Mega Mall.
Definitely.
So, let me see if I can get this one to work. So we were at the town board meeting today, and Steve Stern, I hope this is the clip of Steve Stern. He showed up to speak in support of the project. Right? Let's hope I got this right.
Good afternoon. Many of my former colleagues, good to see everybody. Just very briefly, I'm former Suffolk County Legislator Steve Stern. I just wanted to come and let everybody know in my community that I'm proud to stand with them. Once again, in opposition to a project that will have so many detrimental impacts to our community. I'm proud to stand with our community once again in strong opposition to the Hold On project and to overdevelopment in our area, which will have a tremendous adverse impact on our sole source aquifer, already heavy traffic, and our quality of life. As Suffolk County Legislator, I was proud for many years to stand with my community in opposition to so many of these projects, including some on this board will remember the original Orchard Park proposal for this very same area. I was proud to stand with my community then, and I am proud to do so today. It was a successful opposition then, and it needs to be successful today. So I'll continue to stand with my community to ensure that our local community remains the very best place to live, work, and raise our families for now and for generations to come. Thank you.
So was he for or is he against it?
I couldn't understand.
Yeah, I didn't get it just yet.
I think he's running for office.
Do you think?
That's why he was there.
Yeah, but was he staying? He's saying he's standing with the community. What was his stand on it? Was he for it or was he against it?
I don't know. I wasn't clear on that either.
That's a typical politician.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand which part it was. So I don't know.
I don't know. It could have gone either way with him.
Yeah. Because he said I like the fact that, of course, he said he stands with his community, but you have people in the community that want it and you have people in the community that don't want it. So which side are you standing with?
Yeah.
I heard the word opposition in there, but it was unclear as to what exactly he was opposing.
Well,
Because again,
Janice
it can go.
Scalia made a comment. I think it was yesterday or the day before, or today. I don't remember, but that she was against it. And those words were perfectly clear that she was against it.
Mhm.
So I don't know why Steve showed up. Number one, maybe for election points, because I don't know what he said. That it wasn't just me. I thought I was confused.
No, I mean, I heard some of the things he was saying, okay, we know that you're running for state assembly, and I get why you would go there to a town hall meeting, because this, like the seasons of Elwood or Avalon Bay, is going to be a big, big topic, and people are going to remember how people voted. So, of course, it makes sense politically for him to do that. These politicians that we have, especially the season one, they know how to play the game. So of course he would utilize that. So that was excellent on his part. However, what wasn't clear was what was he opposing or what was he for.
Right. So
that was the only part that I didn't get. But again, he's a politician, so he has to do what he has to do. But he just kept reiterating he stands with his community, and that's important. And sad to say, a lot of people will just take that part and be like, see, he's for us, he's for the community, and they'll see that he went to a town board meeting to speak on it or whatever the case may be. So I'm sure he had a strategic planning as to why he was there today.
Well, another action that they took tonight regarding the Villa Dome was they are moving the May 15th town board meeting to May 17th. And they're moving it to the Elwood Middle School at 478 Elwood Road in Elwood at 7 p.m. And they're saying it's to accommodate the overage of people that they're expecting to voice their concerns and to accommodate a very large and very late possible meeting. So that's going to be interesting. And by the way, I think it was, wait, let me look. I keep notes when I go. Who voted no to that? Oh, so they voted, it was resolution 2018-141, if anybody wants to look it up on the town board site directly. And it's, Mark Cuthbertson was the only no vote. He voted no.
Did he say why he voted no to that though?
No, I see in traffic.
Security was one issue that was brought up, I remember. The inability to live stream with the cameras that were around, but they said they were talking about maybe doing something Facebook Live or so.
Oh, that's why he opposed it? Because
I think so. We'd have to go back. Do you want me to find that one? I don't have that one marked. That one will be harder for me to find, but
yeah, we can go back and look at another time. Don't worry. I just didn't realize. I mean, that sounds a little trivial to be opposed to something just because you can't live stream it. Or what was the other reason he gave? Security?
Something like that. So yeah, we already have the security here. I mean, think about it. They're very secure in that building. You have to give them the ID. Mm-hmm. They've got the security guards and you have to have the badge, but you're being checked in one by one. Your bags could potentially be searched.
And he's the only one worried about that.
That really does say a lot, actually.
Yeah, because honestly, I'm glad that we have it at town hall. That's okay, but security would be the last thing on my mind when I'm going to a town hall meeting. I've been to meetings when they've gotten hot and heavy, but hopefully we'll have adults there. I mean, things can escalate, but security would not be my first nor my main concern with that. But I guess it is for him.
It's gonna be a lot of traffic on the way. Should leave early.
A whole lot.
That's true. 7 o'clock down there. You have to add. You have to add a considerable amount of time now. The traffic's gotten that bad. Mm-hmm. I think people
and let's hope
Go ahead, Dina.
No, and let's hope we can find parking because I don't know how that situation is there. But today at the town hall meeting, you had people parked everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was good for them to move it because this is this will be a hot topic. I think traffic and parking would be crazy if they kept it down here.
No, yeah, I have to agree with the parking situation because today it wasn't that packed and there was
there was none. There was none. So yeah. I think they're smart in doing it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But like you guys said, leave time to park and fight in traffic.
Yeah, definitely need to tack on time now. Yeah. So another fun part of the evening was the Daniel Carpin show. He's always so much fun.
He is.
He is
definitely entertaining.
He's been on a roll lately.
Well, he brings up valid points. I mean, minus the delivery, he brings out, factual things. So, he gives us the information.
Here we go. It's the Daniel Carpin show.
I love that part.
He says it every time, too. I don't know what he was handing out there.
His literature. He gave it to all the town board members.
My name is Daniel Carpin. Welcome to the Daniel Carpin Show, which goes exactly for 3 minutes. We have an egg timer to make sure that the time that I have can time it properly. Back in February, you appointed a new chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals. The previous chairman was Chris Modeleski. And Chris Modeleski supposedly was demoted to member. But when I've examined the town board agendas for the last 2 months, there is no resolution reappointing Chris Modeleski as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Consequently, he is holding office illegally. Moreover, he never took an oath of office because there was never an appointment resolution, and oaths of office are supposed to be taken within 30 days of appointment for an appointed official. So, Mark Cupperson, could you please comment on this?
So I can take it all in.
Well, what I've said, basically repeated, is that you have a new chairman of the board of the Zoning Board of Appeals who's replaced Chris Modeleski. Chris Modeleski is now serving illegally as a member without being reappointed as a member and without taking an oath of office. Could you please comment on this, Mark Cupperson?
I probably don't agree with your conclusion. Because he's appointed for a term, Mr. Carpin, and he can be delegated as the chairman, but if he's not serving as chairman, he goes back to de facto regular member. But we'll check into it. I don't know.
No, because that happened with Stanley and Malcolm 32 years ago. And Stanley and Malcolm was demoted to member and never took an oath, and never was appointed, never took an oath. And I went to a Zoning Board of Appeals hearing one night and I read a poem called Where's the Oath? And part of the poem reads as follows: dare to struggle, dare to win. Taking the oath of office is a serious legal sin. Town clerk, upon a Freedom of Information Act request, could not find the oath of office of Stanley Malcolm. Indeed, it was very low. Joanne Reyes searched high, Joanne Reyes searched low. No oath of office found inside. Mr. Malcolm, out you must go. Get out your bikinis. Public officers, law of the state. Section 30 says the following: you must immediately vacate. Bye! And guess what? Chris Modeleski's time is also up.
Thank you. The town attorney's office will look into your poem. Thank you.
That's great. That was great. Oh my goodness. You're right. Other than the delivery, he's a very smart man.
He's
very smart.
And he remembers all that from 30 years ago.
32 years ago.
32.
I was like, when he said, I was like, what is going on?
He's so awesome.
Wow.
And his poem, you'll remember his poem. I don't care, if you like it or not. You're gonna always associate that poem with him and have to chuckle because it makes sense.
Wow.
So he did give us the information. But if that is true, what he's saying, I would hope that our leaders, especially our politicians, would not be doing something like that. And I would hope that we have enough sense amongst all the administration people that they have working for them that something like that would not be factual. We can only hope, though, because that would be a serious blight on the current administration if that took place, because that's a lack of a lot of things.
Yeah.
If that's true.
Wow.
I think it did really happen, though.
They don't like people calling them out when they get caught.
I know that he was replaced, but I don't know. We would have to find out, like, what his state is. He a member? What is the process? All those things would have to be made clear.
Oh, if anybody knows the process, Daniel Carpin knows. I guarantee he knows the answer to that.
Because I do recall hearing Chad say that something in regards to a term and if he's voted in. I would just have to look at everything. I always like to make sure everything is triple checked before I say, okay, this is what it is. Because that would be, I don't know, but that would be such a blight on the current administration if that's true, because that's a lack of a lot of things. And if you're making, errors like that, so, what else are you making errors on?
Well, I'm sure it's not the first time it's happened.
Well, you have to also wonder whose responsibility is it to make sure that was, being done.
Yeah. That's all. And that's a lot of people that would,
very interesting.
It would have to be, it has to go through, like who sworn him in, who did the paperwork, who checked, who was offered, it's so many other things that are included with that. So I'm like, I truly hope that either Daniel has missed something or maybe he didn't get all the information, because if what he's saying is factual 100%, then that's going to be a problem. That's just how I view it.
See if this is going to work or not. Yeah, no, it's not going to work. I lost all my other screens. Isn't that lovely?
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
It's so good because I'm going to have to read it to you now. This article, I'll have to read it to you from somewhere else. It was an article it was a while ago. It was in the Long Islander, July 31st, 2014. And it was about classic galleries. All right. And it was a while ago. But he had said, when it starts to look like Great Neck, know we have a problem. When it starts to look like Great Neck, he was the head of the Zoning Board of Appeals. They're the people giving the permission to the developers to do what they're doing, giving them parking variances and everything else. So the Christopher Malowski that Daniel Carpin's referring to is that guy who said that. I mean, think about that statement for a second. When it starts to look like Great Neck, we'll know we have a problem. For right now, we're keeping pace with redevelopment. All it seems we're keeping pace.
What does he mean? What does he mean if it starts to look like Great Neck?
Well, when it gets too crowded, then
too overdeveloped.
Oh, so they're saying Great Neck is overdeveloped.
Yeah. Of course, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, I would say that's an accurate statement.
Okay.
Have you seen Great Neck?
I have, but you know how you go through a town, sometimes you're just going to visit. You don't really look and see, like, if it's developed, because you don't live there. You don't really pay attention. So that's why I was asking the question, because I couldn't make the correlation between the two. But I guess if I had to go look in it, I could go back and see, I guess. But I never really paid attention.
Would be, what town isn't being overdeveloped right now?
There's some truth right there. What was it? I missed the meeting on Monday. I was so tired. I mean, honestly, it's so hard to fit on. There's meetings all the time, but it was for the Four Towns Civic Group for the Pilgrim State development that's over there, the one that's 9,900.
Heartland, stuff the Heartland.
The Heartland, Pilgrim State, the Heartland.
What were they saying in that one?
I wasn't able to make it to the meeting.
Okay.
So I didn't get to go. But I know that they're still trying to stop it. But I mean, like Lisa just said, what isn't being developed on the island? It's sometimes feels like a lost cause.
Yeah, unfortunately, it does. It's starting to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
Why? That brings me to I saw an article. Somebody had posted it, and I guess it was pre-election, with Chad making statements and things that he was running his campaign on, where I could quote a couple of things. I will protect our town's environment and ensure that our water is clean and pristine. Well, that's not. He will preserve green spaces, and so many other things he had said. I saw that on a post this week. With all these rules and zoning laws being changed like people's minds, why is it so hard for us? Why do we have to keep fighting so hard for some green freaking space around here? It's absolutely insane. Nobody cares about the environment. Nobody cares about the water. Nobody cares about the pollution. Nobody's going to care about the cancer rates rising. And hell, nobody cares about the poor animals that they're just going to kill off because they're just going to run them all into the damn street. Makes me sick. And I know there's nothing I can say. There's nothing I can do. Sign a petition, go to these stupid meetings where they just sit there and they laugh at you. And then they go count their money in the back room after the meeting. Ugh.
Well, it is, unfortunately, that's what it is. I mean, it would be nice if we had people who care about the environment, who cared about the water. And we all know that, when you're running a campaign, you say a lot of things. And when you get in office, you see that some of these things just are not feasible, especially if you plan on running again. So you have to tweak them whichever way you can. I don't think any of that is the concern of the developers, whether it be the environment or anybody else. I don't think that matters.
No,
their dollars matter.
And it applies.
And what they think they can gain matters. And that's what it's going off of.
They're watching that bank account game.
I do know.
Oh my God. I'm going to beat this thing. You hear that thing? Do you want to know what that sound is? I'm sorry.
What is that?
That is the microphone. When he bends the microphone at the very beginning of the meeting, and it's the most annoying sound when you're trying to find a clip on this thing. So I'm going to put that right
this.
Good afternoon, everyone.
I give up.
Please rise and join council.
Well, I'm not trying to direct your attention to that. I'm actually trying to find a spot, but I can't. And I can't get it to shut up now either.
Oh my God.
There we go.
Technical difficulties, folks. Just bear with us.
This is where I'm just going to completely lose myself. This is where I just stop the show and go find.
I do know that this is a great project for the developer. And
there we go.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay. I am so sorry, but I found
my home phone ring 3 times.
We were talking about how they do the backroom deal, the water. We can't do anything about it because they said blah, blah, blah. And I was just about to show you where we gave away land today. That's all.
You can't find. Yeah, let that.
No, I've got it now, but yeah. It's I lost my other screens where everything was.
Pretty soon the Eagles are going to leave because they're going to be like, who needs this crap? I can't even find any water.
No. We're going to start building housing for them too. We're going to
affordable. I hope it's going to be affordable.
Over near the Jellyfish, we're going to preserve the land and build high density eagle housing. And we're just going to do it for the birds because we love the birds, and we're going to give it away for free because after today, they gave away stuff. We're going to give everything else away. That's all.
This resolution,
I'm going to bring you to the screen so you can see this. I know I'm a little further into the video than I should be, but here you go.
Are you going to explain what you're playing, though?
I'm going to try. Well, no, it's kind of self-explanatory. So it's 1000 New York Avenue, which is, I've been complaining about this property for years, but listen to this and then we'll explain everything else behind it.
is, if it passes, is going to convey a piece of property to a private developer for free. The town purchased this property in 2008 for $700,000 and has since spent a considerable amount of money cleaning up the property and remediating any waste on it. Since January 17th of this year, I've been asking for a fair market appraisal for this property, but astonishingly, one does not exist. Giving away this property without knowing its current fair market value is grossly irresponsible. Whether the 66 apartments that the Gateway project is projected to provide is good or bad for Huntington Station remains to be seen. I do know that this is a great project for the developer and its limited partners. As part of this project, the developer is purchasing 3 parcels adjacent to the south. These adjacent property landowners are all being paid a considerable sum of money, upwards of $3 million for their property, yet the town is getting zero. Our roads have potholes, the marina bulkheads and docks are in disrepair. The main floor of this building is covered in rubber matting that's held down by tape. And we've heard that with a veteran's home that we can't afford to pay for, and yet the town can afford to give away its real estate for free. Before voting on this resolution, I urge the town board to appraise the property and find out who the limited partners are. To give this gift of real estate without knowing its worth or who's getting it is not transparent, nor is it the direction we should be going in. This is a betrayal of the public's trust, and for that reason, I'm voting no.
On the motion, there's a lot of mixing and matching there. I mean, the veterans housing that we want to do obviously has different issues, different topic, and its own challenges in terms of trying to find a developer. Challenges here are similar in terms of developing in Huntington Station and making the economics worse. To characterize this in isolation with, what the property is what's not being paid for the property, I think does it a disservice. It's part of an overall master development agreement that was negotiated some time ago. That was the product of a significant amount of negotiation back and forth. May not like the economics now, but it was negotiated at a time when there was little to no activity going on in Huntington Station. We're fortunate enough to see in the Gateway project, Northridge project rather, some success with a mixed-use building. This is the next stage in that overall development plan. So I do think overall it is a good stepping stone. There's more to do. And this is just really the second major step in the process.
On the motion, to characterize the transfer as a free gift is unfair and actually inaccurate. There has been consideration made for the property, and that is embodied, excuse me, in the appraisal methodology in the master developer agreement, where we came to terms with the developer having to invest dollars into the property to prepare it for development. And those dollars have been invested over the course of the last 4 or 5 years and have been baked into the transaction. So it is not a free transfer by any stretch. I know that the town attorney, one of our assistant town attorneys, can clarify that in further detail if you have any questions.
On the motion also, and just to give a little background, I mean, I've been supervisor now for about 3 months, and in my time in office, I've encountered situations where the previous administration might have implemented a policy with which I might have negotiated differently or which I disagree. But some of the instances like this one, the policy is a contract currently, and the decision of the previous administration to sign a contract that transfers a piece of property for no consideration, some people might question it. But the facts of the situation, are troubling to some extent. The town acquired this parcel through eminent domain, and in the process paid the owner about $700,000 to acquire it, and the town then spent valuable resources to improve the parcel. And then the previous administration then decided to transfer it for, no money. So now I'm left with the decision. I could either vote yes and then perform the act that the previous administration has required us to perform, or I can stomp my feet and vote no, knowing that if I vote no, the town will be immediately sued, and which will cost tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees. I'm going to be deciding to vote yes on this, and I think we owe it to Huntington Station. I think revitalization is important, whether it's the previous administration or the current administration. We want to restore it. I mean, it's an excellent area, Huntington Station, to raise a family, great school districts, whether you're in South Huntington or Huntington. And I think this is one of the next steps in the progress of making Huntington Station an improved area and really restore it to its resiliency. And this is something that we worked decades on, from the late 1960s. My grandfather had a butcher shop in the original Huntington Station. My mother was raised in an apartment right above the butcher shop in Huntington Station. And that area is going to, I believe, be a great economic engine again. So I believe that we should look at our contracts going forward, but I think we owe it at this point to continue the work on this piece of property. And we know that it's going to be great retail space and great apartments for people to raise a family. And we know it's going to go forward being a resilient area. And the money that I think we'll save in legal fees could be spent on parks, could be spent on childcare programs, or keeping taxes at their present level. So I care too much about the town and our taxpayers to waste this type of money, but I am going to put this, be voting yes. I urge my colleagues on the town board to vote yes. And we know that each step we take in Huntington Station will be a better day for Huntington Station. And we know it's an excellent area. And we want to continue to invest in the area, bring businesses to the area, and support our school districts and our families in that area.
It should be noted that the appraisal that Ms. Sergel is referencing is almost 2 years old, and the residual land value that it came up with was negative $872,000. So if you think that's a good appraisal, you're very gullible.
Why would the age of the appraisal matter? I mean, people deal
because
with
I
didn't finish. All right, people deal with 2-year-old appraisals.
No, they don't.
Oh, let me finish. And they account for that. Yes. When the economy changes, there's some change to it. Appraisers normally can agree upon what the value increases or decreases based on time. So the fact that there's a 2-year-old appraisal here doesn't concern me. Also, I just think you're losing sight of the fact that this is an overall master development agreement for several parcels, for a whole process. That really wasn't attractive to someone some time ago. So it's okay to come in and scrutinize. And I know you're a very knowledgeable real estate lawyer, and I appreciate and respect that, Councilman Smith. But I think you have to look at the process in its totality.
We're giving away a piece of town-owned land for nothing. That's the fact.
Cool.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted. 4 ayes, 1 no. The no is Councilman Smith.
Wow.
I found myself tonight with most people that I typically agree with that we're all clapping and excited. I was not excited. Although I got to tell you, probably because I have lived this project, and they haven't done right by us from the beginning. But I appreciate Chad's well thought out, what he was weighing one in, so he understands that there was an agreement that was made there. But to question the legal, you have a staff of attorneys that we already pay for. And when those agreements were made initially, they were already tainted. They were already bad. They were already easy to fight. There's no reason why it shouldn't have been renegotiated, that we would have gotten fair market value or something. You're giving this property that we've invested hundreds of thousands, and then on top of the $700,000 that we bought it from Donald Pius for, okay, there was a $1.5 million grant. We lived through them remediating the property, doing asbestos removal. They had to do this special removal. There was homeless people living in there at one point that they finally, until they took the building down, it was so bad over there, and so much money was dumped in to say that a 10 to 20,000, I doubt that number, because you're already paying that for their salary for the attorneys to be on staff and employed with you.
Well, you have to keep in mind when he said, I mean, it's not so much the attorneys that he would have to pay for; it's the court fees and the legal fees. And regardless of how many people you have on retainer, those fees have to be paid. So I'm sure he was referring to that, not exactly, because like you said, we pay the lawyers anyway. So I'm sure he was referring to the basic legal fees and other things that are attached when you sue someone or you have to go to court. In regards to the whole situation, I think Ed Smith was head on. I don't generally agree with some of his politics. And in fact, I am a harsh critic of him. So for me to say that I agree with him, it has to be something that I definitely would get behind 100%. If we had that land open and we needed something to go on it, why not put the veterans home on that? I'm sure there are other things we could have done with that particular piece of land, and we should have sold it for something. One thing I am finding about Ed Smith that I do like is that he holds his own. He doesn't go back and forth. If he believes something is incorrect, he sticks to it and he speaks up about it. And you can always appreciate that because you know where he stands. We have tons and tons of things we could have fixed if it was sold. And in regards to whether it was appraised 2 months ago or 2 years ago, let's be honest. For those of us who own homes, ask yourself this question before you criticize him. Would you purchase your home knowing it was appraised 2 years ago? No, you wouldn't. So why would I want to use an appraisal that was done 2 years ago? Maybe there are new standards, maybe there are new things, whatever the case may be, just to make sure for my own self, I would want it to be appraised. I could agree with Chad.
0.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So it's like, I can agree with what Chad said. He wants to go for whatever that he feels as though the town needs something, and this is part of the revitalization. I get it, but to sell it or to give it away for nothing is not something this is not a wealthy town. We can't afford to give away anything at this point in time.
Did Mark Cuthbertson say, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know. Did Mark Cuthbertson say that the reason why we don't have enough veteran housing is because we can't find a developer?
He said the veteran housing was totally different. And he was saying that you cannot equate to the two, they have no correlation. In regards to developer, he said it was a different developer. He actually tried to stray away from anything dealing with the veterans home, which I just don't understand why that is so complicated. And again, with Ed Smith, I would have to agree.
Because they both share the same grant money. We've talked about this on previous shows.
Yes, I know.
The grant money that Jimmy Conti secured. That's the one thing, even though the projects are very different in scope or idea or of what they plan to do with them, you better go. You better go now. I have children. It's probably my number one issue is that I have children that go. The one thing that they share is that grant money. That's what it was. In fact, it wasn't even veterans housing to begin with. It was supposed to be town housing. But when there was opposition to it, they started calling it veterans housing so that the public would be demanding that we put it in, which is where we're at.
So the veterans housing and that grant housing for the property of 1,000 is the same thing?
The grant money was used for both of those property. It was used to do the demolition on what's supposed to be the veterans housing. There was 2 houses that were there that they bought again from Donald Pius, and they ripped them down. This other property they bought from Donald Pius over where Tilden Breaks used to be for $700,000. That was part of the grant, okay? And then they used because then they bought the property. Then they had to, because they're stuck in their own red tape, they had to remove all the asbestos, which was an issue, after they evacuated all the homeless. And then they had to demolish it. So at this point, they've only used the grant money to acquire property and remove it from the land. Then there was another grant that was purchased, that was applied for, that they said, this is what we're going to use to put the housing, that never went through. There's been millions upon millions upon millions of dollars in taxpayer legitimate debt that has been sunk into those 2 parcels of property.
And that's what they call revitalization.
And if you give me a little bit more time and another show, I can put together a whole thing for you showing the progression, because I did a video a long time ago on YouTube a bazillion years ago. And we talked about, so there's a background there. Oh, that video got me in so much trouble. Oh, God.
I actually remember that.
Oh,
I do.
Goodness
remember it.
gracious. That started some things.
I don't like when you tell the truth. So,
yeah. They don't like criticism, that's for sure. They don't like being shown where the fault lines are. But this whole veterans housing thing is so, you know, everyone was applauding and they were so excited. And I can appreciate that, because I wish I clipped Jim McGoldrick. I should go back. He was basically like, we've waited 50 years for this. Do something. And that's where people are. They're not thinking about, well, it's going to do this, it's going to do this, or it's going to do this. And think about, let's start asking, where's the money you already threw into this? They're not thinking that. They're thinking, enough. We've waited long enough. Just do something, anything. They're desperate. And that's why they're saying yes at this point in droves.
I don't know. I think that from the people who I spoke to today, they felt as though it was a blight, you know, it wasn't pleasant to look at, so they want it filled. I don't know if it's out of desperation. That's not the impression that I got. It's just that they don't want to look at the empty space, I guess, which is fine. I mean, because, you know, I don't live over there. I don't necessarily have to see it every day. My thing is, I'm always for whoever's within that community should make those type of decisions. What my concern would be is that we gave it away for little to nothing, and we are just not financially in that position as a town to do that.
We'll look into your.
Sorry.
So that would be my only issue for that. I don't know about but they liked it.
Well, yeah. You know what? They're applauding progress. It's not necessarily it. That's another hurdle that they felt that they had to go through to get their goal, which is Northridge Plaza. They want to develop that whole thing. They've started with the one building that's still not completed. And again, it's a beautiful building. But they said, well, we're going to use the parking across the street. And the next part of the plan is to put apartments where that parking is that they're using now. So we're just heading down the same road that we're seeing in the village.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Go back.
Yeah.
So, okay, so where the buildings are right now, across the street, there's a whole parking lot. And then behind the parking lot is another set of buildings. You mean to tell me in that parking lot right there, they're going to build more houses? That doesn't make any sense.
On the Source the Station website. I've spoken about it on other videos on the Huntington View. some of our older ones that were our live feeds, I take you to the parking lot and I show you the plans for the whole area, and I verify it with the information from the developer's website, as well as include some clips from the town board meeting where they had said that as well. So yeah, I am pretty sure that that's clearly what's there. And I had said when they were justifying the apartments that they're building now, the building that's already up, the building they acquired tonight will be part of the other part of all those apartments. Okay. They've attained those, all that. Have you gone to see the actual plans?
I have not seen, I haven't seen the actual plans, but I know the spot that you're speaking of because I've gone there myself. I just can't, and I'm sure I'm not the only one.
They needed a parking variance because the density is 66 units per acre when you work it out, okay? On that spot, that's how many apartments are going to be there now, considering it's a smaller lot. So they said, it's okay, we'll build some parking on site behind, but we'll also be using the town's municipal parking lot for the parking. But when you go to the town's website, you will, not the town's website, the developer's website, and listen to previous town board meetings and planning and zoning, and you'll see that they also say that they are artist lofts are being proposed for that part of the municipal parking lot where the buses park, where the police park when they're going to pull you over for a DWI. Watch it there, fellas, on New York Avenue. It's the New York Avenue one where they set up the, they pull over the truckers all the time and they give them tickets. Like the police usually use that parking lot. In fact,
there's a lot, there's a whole bunch of houses right, there's a whole bunch of apartments right behind that.
Yeah, that's a co-op. That's a co-op. No,
they're still apartments.
No, they're artist lofts. They're like just small things. So it's a small apartment with a small store to show your art, and then a little space for parking just for you behind it.
I don't know what to say.
You have never heard of this? You didn't hear? This is all part of the plan that they're doing. And little by little,
that sounds bonkers. That sounds so ridiculous to have the apartments there with the storefront. Okay.
Yep,
now you have apartments right behind. You have the municipal parking, and you're going to use that parking. Okay.
But they're not doing that yet because it's going to take them a few years to finish. Because like today, they just acquired the parcel, so now they have to build phase 2 or phase 3 of whatever it is of this big plaza that they're building around the statues at Northridge. If you go on their website and look, it shows an artist rendering of what their vision is, and all you see is apartments on the left-hand side if you're facing south, driving on New York Avenue, and the municipal parking lot is on your right. All you see, and that's the way the photo is on their thing, and it goes all the way down. No, I was at that first meeting. I knew it was coming, 66 units per acre. So they justified the parking variances by saying we'll use the municipal lot, which I think they still have to get state permission for that, because wouldn't that be state? MTA, it's municipal parking lot, or is that town? I don't know. Forget how that goes. Somebody's yelling. Somebody's watching the show right now and yelling and trying to give me the answer. And it's my husband. I know it.
I just don't understand. I really don't understand how on earth that would be a feasible plan, or why anyone would think that would be a good idea. Because if I'm understanding it correctly, we're going to have apartments and retail, a street, apartments, retail, or whatever that is, and then more apartments behind it that's separated with a gate.
Well, those are artists' lofts. So there's art.
But aren't they
art's underneath? I guess it's like commercial.
And they're affordable? I hope.
Yes. Well, they're artists. Whatever the affordability component is for artist lofts, because what they keep doing is they recategorize stuff and then they give it different like levels of stuff of affordability. It's all done through HUD and people who are in charge and just making shit up.
Yeah,
that's what they do. They go along. They slap new labels on it, try to sell it to the public again. That's how they spend your money. With smart growth smart growth smart looking back? Because we can look back now. We're in a position to say, was smart growth smart?
Not too much. Not smart enough.
I'm sorry. I just cannot wrap my head around what you're saying. Because to me, I mean, that makes my 6-year-old probably could look at it and say that looks a little crazy. This is not like, the projects in New York City. Why are we having buildings on top of buildings on top of buildings in a suburban area? I don't know. And then when you get rid of that parking, where do you think all the other people that were parking there, where are they going to go? And what happens when people come to visit the other people, and where are they going to park? And it's like, what is going
it's just
on?
Like the people who buy they buy their train tickets, right? They buy them. So, right. And if it's full, you still bought your ticket. So if you don't make it there in time, you're now going to have to go to the one where you have to pay by the hour and keep updating it with your cell phone. Because when they put the meters in the village, they put them up also by the Huntington train station down the street, heading towards the Huntington Community First Aid Squad. They had never been there before.
Yep.
So people started parking down at Northridge, which is under construction now and doesn't have meters, over by the statues. And they would park there for free and just rather walk, or park at CVS. I'm sorry, Walgreens.
I'm sorry. I'm just lost. I can't believe that anybody with any sense would okay that. I can't see how that would be a positive thing. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. I'm just really dumbfounded at this. I really am lost for words, because it doesn't make sense to me.
I'm going to show it to you, because right now everything was fine and now it's not. So I can't even screenshot and show you the artist renderings for it. But a lot of people have seen them, and if they're really curious, they can go to the Source of the Station website and see it. And you'll see when you look at it, it's apartments all the way down New York Avenue, and there's happy people at the statue walking.
So happy.
They're looking out of there.
And who came up with this idea to have apartments? Who came up with that idea? Whose baby is that project?
It actually goes way, 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 way back to a councilman from a long, long time ago.
And where's that person now?
I think he's selling. I forget what he's doing. I think he's doing plumbing or something. Isn't it Ken Christian?
Oh.
Let me check. I think it's the name that's coming to me is Ken Christensen. And there was a law back then. There was a New York Times article that was, we had a town council member that introduced the very first accessory apartment law. Who I think it was, but my mind is taking a vacation right now. So, and we're running out of time for me to even wait for my brain to catch up to everything else I do during the day. I'm exhausted. I've had the longest day ever today. But yes, it was a long time ago. It was the very first accessory apartment law that passed, making it legal for you to have an apartment inside your home. And then from there, it just started to skyrocket. We had the housing that was built for the military people coming back right over on Pulaski Road. The apartments, the Eagle, it's not Eagle Apartments. I can't remember tonight.
I know
like,
you're talking about.
Oh, mind eraser. So yeah.
Is it the millennials? I think it is. Millennium. I know what you're talking about though.
But it started from there, and then after that, and then this is the new age of turning the suburbs into the city. I think that was even their little promo thing that they wanted to do, because people would say it's not enough affordable housing. It's not, so they kept building and building and building, but they weren't building housing that was affordable. They're building apartments. It's clear.
But the apartments aren't affordable either.
No, I know, but looking backwards, we were saying all this from the beginning, looking backwards, it's clear what happened. It's clear what happened and how it happened.
And how are they going to compare it to the city? Because when you're in the city, if I'm in Brooklyn, I can hop on the train, the bus, the dollar van, whatever they have. I'm out here, I can't, it's either a car, the railroad, or wait hours for a bus. So we can't compare apples and oranges, because in the city, on your block, you may have your supermarket, your dry cleaner, the place to do you have everything in close proximity. Over here, everything is scattered. So why, and not to mention, I'm going to be paying an astronomical amount of rent. I don't see how that.
And you won't have anywhere to park.
How about that? Because if you park wrong, you'll get a ticket.
The apartments down to Albert's Mandarin, I can't wait to see how quickly the parking lot fills up all the time overnight at the Stop and Shop down there on Wall Street.
Yeah.
And I would like to see how many tickets are going to be given out, because I guarantee you the town is going to anticipate a lot of illegal parking, and they're going to get their money that way as well.
Yeah, they will. They'll use that as a cash grab, definitely.
Yep.
That is crazy. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I have no other words to say, but that is crazy.
I'm all commented out because I just don't know what to say. I just don't know what to say. It's just ridiculous.
At this point in time, I'm going to stop looking around Huntington I'm going to just start looking somewhere further south. I like having my space. I like not having to run into everybody all the time. I like mom and pop shops. I like, my, everything to be a certain way. If I wanted the city, I would live in the city.
Yep.
I just can't.
Where the city meets the suburbs.
No, I'll miss that stop. Yeah,
that's
very sad. Very sad.
So in other news, because we only have 2 minutes left, I just want to get in that the Kids Plus program, they've extended the period of time for public comment to July 14th. So if you're for the project, if you're against the project, you can still go to town board meetings or send emails. I love the project. We don't have time, but I wanted to show Stacy Wall and what she said at the Cause Cafe. But if anybody's interested in looking it up, it's 42 minutes in, 42 minutes to 45 minutes and 32 seconds. Oh, so other than that, we're out of town. We're out of town. That's how tired I am.
We are out of town, though. We're out of town.
We're
running out of town.
We're out of town. We're a city. So tired. So
well, we should make a comment that our thoughts and prayers are definitely with all those the bus crash victims.
Yes, definitely.
Thank God they're all here and they're going to be okay. So thinking about you guys.
Yeah, that could have been
definitely.
Our community would not have been the same if that had been worse, that's for sure. So, all right, on that note, we will see everyone next Tuesday, same time, same place, same lovely three faces. But I hope everybody enjoyed tonight's Huntington View. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night,
bye, guys.